Welcome home. It was a long trip. I got home to my wife and kids, but there was a note. She took them to Disneyland for their birthday. Even though the birthday is not but 3 weeks away, and I had told her I would buy the tickets upon my timely return. And it was timely. She went ahead and did it. Her excuse she put in the note, which was stuck to the fridge, took me hours to discover, was that I would need a break after my business trip from the family. Even though she knows how much I love to be around her, I never once asked for a break from her and the kids. Alright, there was one time, but that was after a surgery on my brain, and I had chronic headaches. Surely this would be the exception to the rule. But alas, here I am, still homesick, even though the business trip is over and I've been home for 2 days. The service in an airplane isn't very good. I rely on Wi-Fi as one of our financial sacrifices we made for our emergency savings fund. Her sister laid out our whole program for her to use on the both of us. I had no say. Even though I made the bread, I still don't get cake. I made that emotional sacrifice when I said I do. I mean, I love her, but she doesn't seem to believe me or want to believe that I love her. To her, it seems a game. But after child number 2, I was stuck, despite therapists telling me over and over that I was not doomed to stay in their lives. How absurd. I love my wife and my kids, and I refuse to give up on them. I don't know how to tell her that I don't feel loved. I don't know how to tell her that she makes me feel insignificant, as if she settled for me instead of truly loving me. I don't know if I'd believe whatever pre-made response she already engineered to manipulate me with. How she made me quit drinking, but then immediately got drunk and seduced me with shots and lines of coke. How she asked me to commit to her, but would bring home dates when we first lived together. She stopped cheating on me in our house a long time ago, when I refused to come back home, after I caught her fucking on the floor of our newborn's nursery with the baby but 4 feet away. 10 years down the drain, I wasted my dignity and suffered this abuse. I was too passive to it, my therapist told me. Even after 5 years of practicing healthy boundaries and communication, even after 5 years of remaining sober, I'll never be good enough for my wife, my kids, my boss, or my therapist. And if I think about it at the bar, I'm relapsing. If I talk about it to the guys on the tennis court who are old friends from back east, they tell me I'm being a little pussy and whining about my problems. So I should have dumped her before having kids, I know. But I refuse to give up on my family when I made that commitment long ago. I still make sacrifices and never harbor resentment or contempt, but then get accused of it, which awakens resentment and contempt. I got a call from Linda. "Hey honey, did you get the note?" She seemed to ask in a weird tone, as if she knew I'd be lonesome. "I did. I hope y'all are having fun. I miss y'all so much, Linda. The kids too. I mean, this trip was so exhausting." The love of my life interrupted me with a complaint. "We're on our way home. How are you home so early?" She sounded irritated now. "I told you many times I'd be home at 3 p.m. 2 days ago, which was the 4th. Did you forget?"
Did I forget?
She mocked me in a childish voice, which gave this unwarranted hostility, begging for some sort of conflict while initiating one. "I'm sorry, Linda, I really am. I gave you copies of the tickets, and we planned I'd be home on the 4th at 3 p.m. and we'd buy tickets to Disneyland."
Oh, so you're mad that you couldn't control the situation.
Well, Javier is driving me home, dear. He's gonna watch a movie with me and the kids. My autism can't handle being around you right now. Feel free to stay on your trip. She hung up before I could tell her I'd been home for 2 days and I'm way past staying on a trip. Nothing she said made sense to me anymore. Nothing seemed to matter what I did or said. These past 5 years have killed us. She made it up in her mind that I'm the bad guy. And I'm told that I am for allowing it to happen. But would you tell someone in every situation that? Would you tell an orphan if they allowed their abuse to happen at an orphanage? They could have walked away at any time. Would you tell a man who got punched for no reason they were allowing it to happen and that it was their fault? It doesn't seem like a valid thing to constantly point out as a therapist or a friend. And by God, that's all I hear is how much I allowed my circumstances to unfold. How I allowed my first grade teacher to molest me, thus allowing me to be guarded with physical affection. How I allowed my father to knock me around after he had a few beers. I was a 6-year-old bringing him beer after beer while he chatted with women online, and he heard me repeating a bad word I heard my older sister say. How I allowed him to beat her up and then me, and by collateral my mom a week before shooting a loaded pistol at my first pet. Oh, how I allowed myself to be born deaf and unable to hear people speak, prohibiting me from reaching full potential in my several careers that start out promising but inevitably fail. How I allowed my daddy issues to become smoking and drinking, and cocaine habits and eating disorders from one extreme to the other. How I allowed brain damage and PTSD to form at his hands, the headaches to stand between me and my time with my family, because I didn't want them to see me in the worst pain I've ever experienced. $50 for the weekly therapy session, $40 for the monthly tennis club membership. The looks of judgment, condemnation, pity, and I'm ready to say to hell with everybody. The room was way too bright. My head was killing me again. Oh dear, he's awake. A voice I recognized but didn't know had said. Honey. My mother was in the hospital room. I felt very small. Mom? Oh, George, you've been in a coma for 3 years. You're 15 years old now. My mom cried on my shoulder, and I wondered how my father had been arrested for attempted murder. How Linda was just a pretty face for my subconscious, whether it be from magazines or television. I guess this is a relief. Lord, said the voice I didn't know personally, but had heard for 3 years. She had a nurse's attire and began to panic. The lights had gone out, and with them the whole hospital's power went dark. My mother's cell phone even glitched and overheated, effectively not working. A hazy aura filled the night sky outside my hospital room. Blue and green lights seemed to fill everything during the geomagnetic storm. The nurse checked my vitals with her hands and stethoscope, and her flashlight did not work. Why, 3 hours ago, power outage as long as this would have killed you. I must check other patients. She ran out the room, her stethoscope dangling around her neck. The dark hall was loud with chaos. One man shouted, "Don't we have a backup generator?" "Yeah, it's totally fried," another voice answered. My mom and I sat catching up on the past 3 years as we waited for them to bring me my clothes. Someone finally came in with a bleeding, burnt patient. We've been told by police that we're experiencing high solar winds, basically disengaging all things electronic, including vehicles. This man was doing routine work on a power line during the hit of geomagnetic activity. So we're looking at electrical burns. Give me. The voices faded as my nurse came up and said, "Here's your clothes. We're going to need this room." And after trekking on foot home, I found out that the world had grown different in the past 3 years. Disease, war, and famine had been a result of a dictator who rose to power. Professor Galt was a weird name for a president, let alone a dictator. Also, my childhood home had been remodeled. Mom and I successfully put out a fire with cat litter as our breaker had gone into a disarray, and our water wasn't able to be pumped by the water system, which is electric. We had a bit come out, and then there was nothing. My mom lit candles and pulled out some blackberry preserves from a jar with some bread. We read ghost stories till we fell asleep in the living room. No news, no phone, no water, a whole lot of nothing. We boiled toilet water until our neighbor offered their water well for us to use conservatively. For many nights with no radio, internet, television, cooked food, there was a whole lot of nothing.